every part of life is compartmentalized, right? Like, let's say when we start in elementary school, 9 to 10, you got math. And even work, you go to work, this time to this time, we got a meeting. This time to this time, that's when you could take your lunch break. But life is not compartmentalized. Everything is happening at the same time. While you're trying to figure out your professional goals, your love life is happening. While you're trying to figure out your love life, your family life is happening. While you're trying to figure out your family life, if you're a parent, parenting is happening. And it all requires your presence in the moment. We're all experiencing time differently. Because we kind of get tricked into rushing ourselves through things that is like, this is not my season for this. I used to think of it like, time doesn't exist, so F time. No, don't F time now, okay? Because it is ticking, but make sure that your perspective of time and what you're experiencing now is based on you and not what he, she, or they say. Certain journeys with yourself requires a slow, steady pace. So you could take inventory of the things that's being revealed to you while you're in that journey. When we're in those phases of, I don't know, so I'm not moving, things are happening. Even if it's not actual physical motion or it's not something that's like showing that you have accelerated to new heights, something is still happening. Yeah.
That's my girl, Kadi C, the friend that cares more about your growth than your feelings.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Ask Kadi, the voice of reason. And like promised, I told y'all we was going to be in a brand new setting. I'm so excited because this is giving professional. It's giving, I was made for this. It's giving Baby Oprah, which is like the title I used to go by. But now I'm going by my name. We're here in a new studio. I'm just so excited. If you're my close friends on Instagram, I told you how this came about. I'm working with an amazing production team who believes in me and produce some of the episodes that I recorded before. So we're giving new vibes. We're giving new everything. So I want to just get right into what we're going to talk about this week. I was meditating on like, okay, what do I want to talk about? And the biggest like highlight in my life lately has been time. Like my relationship with time. And I've come to learn that like with time, your relationship with time can really like change your life. Knowing when to take time, knowing when not to rush time, knowing when not to waste time. So for me, time has really revealed a lot to me about myself. And before I even get to that, I want to kind of think back on a memory that I always go back to. It was senior year of high school at my graduation. I was sitting there thinking like, wow, I'm finally here. In high school, I was a C average student. I know you probably wouldn't assume that, but I have this theory when it comes to grades in high school. I feel like although school might not be the marker for what somebody's going to be in life, the success, I do feel like for children or young, when you're young, it really tells you what type of adult you will be as far as navigating life. And for me, in my own little study, because y'all know I'm into human study and psychology or whatever like that, I notice people who are A students in high school, they grow up to follow the rules. And when I say the rules, not necessarily law-abiding citizens, they just don't really care to live too much outside the box. They gonna get them a job, they gonna pay their bills, and they just want their immediate family and their friends, and just, that's it. They not really here to do too much, which we love that because that's what keeps the world at least at some level of stability, right? But then I'm gonna skip B. I don't know what, like, I would say that's like the AB student. If you were a C student, I feel like you are someone who grows up really just trying to find unconventional ways to live life. Like you would do enough not to mess up life. Like you'll follow the rules. And when I say rules, I'm not talking about laws and stuff like that. I'm talking about like just like society sets the standard on how we should live in life. The C students are the people who really end up shaking the status quo, is the ones that end up inventing new ways of thinking and living. So for me, I felt like when I was in school, I did enough not to stay back. Like, don't nobody want to stay back. I did enough not to be, like, to be able to graduate. I honestly wasn't even thinking about college when I was in school. Not that I didn't want to go, but like my family, y'all know, is from Africa, foreigners. So school Like they told us to go to school, but it wasn't really like a big thing in my family or whatever like that. So I didn't really know about college. I didn't have older siblings who like me and all my sisters are the same age. So we were all going through that experience at the same time. And I will never forget the guidance counselor came one year senior year and was like, okay, I got to give you your GPA. And I'm like, what is that? Like I didn't know they was like actually tallying up all the grades you made from freshman year. So when I went up, she was like, you have a 2.3. And I'm like, what is that? What does that mean? She was like, you're a C student. And like that last year is when I started to like finally hurry up and like, okay, I want to go to college. I want to do this. I was like, well, I ain't got an A grade, but I got to figure out a way. And I remember recruiters would come to the school and I was like, well, I know if where my grades won't get me, my personality will. So I would be like, set me up with a meeting with them. And I met this one, Mr. Jones. I don't know if you remember him. I'm talking to Greg, one of the producers here. But we went to school together. Mr. Jones was like the EOF counselor. And I just spoke to him and I gave him the real. I was like, listen, I ain't got the grades like that, but I really want to go to college. And I was already super involved in school and other things like talent shows and stuff like that. So, and I didn't cause no trouble. But by graduation year, when we were sitting at the graduation, they're giving out awards. I still got an award. Like I got an award for the Rosa Parks Integrity Award. And that's something that when we're talking about time, really reflecting and like taking inventory of all the things that remain consistent in your life. And for me, when I look back on childhood, kindergarten, like middle school, elementary school, middle school to high school, my personality, really my character, was always praised, which we don't really think that's what we go to school for. You know what I'm saying? You're like, you're here to make grades and become successful or get a good job. But I've always gotten awarded for my character. I remember in first grade, I found money in my desk. It was like someone's picture day money. And I took the picture day, I saw it in my desk, and I went to give it to my teacher. She made it a big deal. Like, first, she's like, you're going to be the line leader. This was second grade. It was my teacher, Miss Phelan. I remember everything. But she was like, we're going to give you, we're going to make you line leader for the week. But then that wasn't enough for her. She went to the principal, and they ended up letting me take the school Christmas tree. They pick one student every year to take the school Christmas tree home during a winter break and taking care of it and all that other stuff. So I got awarded that just for finding money and giving it back. And I didn't get the value of that then, like what that spoke about my character. But as I went through being I wouldn't say elementary school grades and middle school grades count, because elementary, I feel like you're just learning society. Like you're leaving your household and you're coming to a new place and you're trying to learn how to adjust and just find your place in the world. And then middle school is when our hormones start kicking in and attitudes and, just now we're trying to, I guess, really impress our friends or impress our surroundings, establish our status. So my grades were sucky in middle school, but high school is really when you start to really find your own groove or whatever. But one thing with time, I'm going back to the thought I had about just like my character always being the thing that reeled me in. When I got to senior year, I was happy. I was accepted to a school. I went to FDU and I did enough. I got the awards and stuff like that, but I was so disappointed in myself because I realized how much I didn't participate in my life. I did enough not to be considered an outcast. I did enough not to be the loser, but I didn't do enough for me. Like what, you know what I'm saying? I felt like everything that I did, I waited for external validation to give it to me, right? And I think that's because, like I mentioned, when I started high school, I wasn't thinking about college. I was just thinking, I'm in my neighborhood, I got my friends, I got my dance group that I'm in. I wasn't thinking longer. So I was disappointed in myself with that, and that's why I created a pact with myself when I got to college, and I was like, oh, I'm going to participate in my life. I'm going to make sure I do my best and don't hold myself back based on just like fear and just the unknown. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think when it comes to time, especially when we're thinking about the future, the unknown can cripple us to the point, if we're afraid of it, to the point that we don't move and we don't allow ourselves, even without knowing what's next, still allowing ourselves to desire the next. You know what I'm saying? Out of fear. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. We downplay certain things or whatever. So that has been my thought process now. And lately, now that I'm in my 30s, with time, I've realized I have really built up a healthy relationship with time. And this is why I want to share with y'all what I came up with. And hopefully you guys can kind of use my journey to kind of ignite your journey with time and your relationship with time. So let's get right into it, right? The first thing is understanding when not to waste time. Let's talk about wasting time because we all use that phrase. I don't want to waste my time. I'm not about to let him waste my time. I'm not going to let her waste my time. I don't want to be at this job. It's wasted time. To me, wasted time is not you not getting the results that you want out of a situation. If you're in a relationship for a long period of time and y'all end up breaking up, or you're married and y'all get a divorce, you didn't waste your time. You know what I'm saying? I don't consider that wasting time because it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Same thing if you started a job and you got fired. It's lessons learned. And the thing is, we have to remember we are on this journey of a life to really conquer ourselves. All the outcomes that we think we want out of life is temporary. Yeah, you can have a long marriage, but we all gonna die one day. Not to get dark, but like, you know what I'm saying? There's no guarantee that this marriage is gonna continue in the afterlife. Yeah, I want this dream job, but eventually the goal is to retire. You're not gonna work this job forever. I wanna be able to do this. Everything that we think we desire is temporary, but the lessons is permanent. It grows our spirit. It really gets us closer to ourselves. Because like I said, for me, my understanding of life is we're here to conquer ourselves. So knowing not what to waste time is one, understanding what is wasted time. And to me, wasted time is when you go against yourself. If you're in a relationship and shit is going left and it's not really good, but you still have hope that, I really want to make this work. Or there's still a feeling in you that is making you stay there, whether it's I'm insecure and I don't want to been there. Like, I don't want to try something new. What's out there, whatever. As long as it's true to the emotional state that you're in, you're not wasting time. You don't, just because a fact is presented to you like, oh, I'm in this relationship and we're not compatible, we're always arguing, does not mean that in that moment you're supposed to have the decision that I'm supposed to leave. I'm supposed to cut curtains. No, that is a big thing that we do to kind of shame ourselves and not realize that you have to go with your feelings first. And wasted time is when you have the feeling, like, let's say you get to a point where it's like, I don't want this relationship. I really am not happy in this relationship and I don't care for it to go further. But I'm going to stay because of my family. But I'm going to stay because of the kids. Oh, I really like this. I mean, this job is like the perfect job. I mean, I hate this job. I don't want to be here. I don't care, but everybody knows I have this good job. I don't want to look this way to other people by walking away from this job. Or like, you know what I'm saying? When you're doing things to really like please other people, that's when you wasted time. Because at this point, if you already come to the confident decision that this is not for me or I'm ready to walk away, there's no more lesson to learn. Like when you're in that emotional state, not when you just talking to yourself like, this relationship's not for me, but low key you still in love. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's not it. I'm talking about you have reached the spiritual decision and confirmation and like, the I always say, I'm very religious and spiritual. God, like when God tells me, okay, this is it, or this is next, or this must stop. And I'm sure of that decision. You know what I'm saying? I reached the spiritual maturity to have confidence in that decision, but I still stay because of external reasons. That's when you waste the time. Because you're not going to get nothing else out of it. Besides not to use a harsh word like misery, but to me, misery is really when you are somewhere you're not supposed to be. It's miserable. Like, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care how it looks to the other people. We see all these rich people. We see all these relationship goals. Child, social media be stressing me out because it was a couple. What couple was it recently? A perfect Tiana Taylor and Iman. They was relationship goals, okay? And people were idolizing just their relationship, their kids, their family, and to see how dark and ugly their divorce is now, right? Not the divorce, but the darkness of the divorce. It just makes me be like, you can't trust what you're seeing. You can't, and not even to say they was faking the funk, but you can't idolize image. You can't idolize what people are presenting to ourselves. It's internal. Like, you know what I'm saying? That a misery like that don't just come up in a divorce. It was lingering when there was love in a relationship or whatever. So making sure you're never doing things or not doing things or not being obedient to time and being obedient to God and moving because of external reasons is the only time you will waste time. And I would like to also say, just adding to that, wasted time is subjective. Again, just somebody else could be like, why are you staying in that relationship? This is why I'm big on, like, when I'm talking to my friends about their relationship advice, I never tell you what you need to do. I never be like, oh, you got to leave. Or even with anything that you're dealing with, trying to figure out what your next move is, how do you feel? What do you think? You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's important we have those internal conversations with ourselves too, because Lord knows, y'all know I talked about this in previous episodes, just my struggle with being more logical than emotional. You know, I say the perfect person is 50% logic and operates 50% with their brain and 50% with their heart. And there's no such thing as a perfect person. So we all tug between the two. And my thing is, I'm always like, well, A plus B does not equal C, so this is why I need to do that. But it's not always me being operating like that. I kind of disobey my emotional state. You know what I'm saying? Or how I feel or what I want to do. So wasted time is subjective. And if you are in any situation or any crossroads where you think you should be doing this or you think you should be doing that, channel your emotion first. Channel you and make sure you have healthy conversation with yourself to let yourself know it is okay. It is okay if you don't know what to do now. This is time. Like people say, "Oh, you got to move." We're in a rush to where? Where are we rushing to? Like
What do you think about time being a construct? Like, it's not really.
a real things. You know, I always used to kind of remind myself that when I'm struggling with my anxiety of like, I gotta do this. Especially 30s. 30 is that number for everybody where it's just like, I should be here now. I should have this type of relationship now. I do, when we're talking logically, time is man-made. We are all here right now. I'm talking to my team in the same, we're in the same time, same room, and we're all experiencing time differently. So it kind of goes back to really, we make what time is. I used to think of it like, oh, time doesn't exist, so F time. No, don't F time now, okay? Because it is ticking. But what are you making of time? Like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that your perspective of time and what you're experiencing now is based on you and not what he, she, or they say. And it's so scary now with social media because we have so much information at our fingertips and everybody want to be gurus. So it's like, I remember one time I was sitting in my sister's house and I actually was getting ready to go on vacation and I randomly came across a post that was talking about, you need to invest, financial freedom, da-da-da-da. Like it was this, and I woke up and I bought the book. Like it was a book for $90. I bought this financial book. And I'm like, the next day I'm looking at my bank account like, why did I do that? So it's like, we kind of, especially with social media, but even the people around us, we kind of get tricked into rushing ourselves through things that is like, this is not my season for this. Understanding your seasons. You know what I'm saying? Understanding why certain things need to be prolonged. And that all starts with your emotional state. Now, the other part is knowing when to take time. Knowing when it's okay to feel like you're not moving or you're moving slower. You should be here, but you're not there. Or you feel like you should be making this decision now, but you don't know. Like knowing when it's okay to take time. I feel like we often overlook the fact that some of the things we want out of life requires patience with yourself. Why? Because you are going after something or you're trying to become a version of yourself that you have never been before. That is not something you can do overnight. Some of the most top careers that we idolize, being a doctor, being a lawyer, really takes the longest schooling. Anytime somebody be like, I wanted to be a lawyer, but I ain't got time to be like in school for 8 years or whatever like that. So think of that when we think about just like understanding why certain journeys with yourself requires a slow, steady pace. One, so you could take inventory of the things that's being revealed to you while you're in that journey. I'll go back to relationships. I always talk about relationships because I feel like when it comes to romantic relationships, it exposes, I feel like it's the only relationship we have in life or with life that reveals to us so many channels of our life that we've gone through, right? So it's like when you're in a relationship and you see, oh, I'm really codependent with somebody, it didn't start with that person. It didn't start with just love. It probably will channel back into, oh, when I was 3, I really, like, my mom did this and it made me feel this. And I was always codependent then, right? So, like, so much of yourself is being revealed to you when you are in those stages of what we like to say stagnation, or when we're in those phases of, I don't know, so I'm not moving. Things are happening, even if it's not actual physical motion, or it's not something that's like showing that you have accelerated to new heights. Something is still happening, and I feel like we overlook those key points, those emotional those emotional experiences that's being revealed to us or whatever. We kind of overlook that, like, and especially when we get into adulthood. I've always say this, like, the way society is set up, it tricks us into thinking that every part of life is compartmentalized, right? Like, let's say when we started elementary school, oh, 9 to 10, you got math. 10 to 11, English. Oh, 12 to 1, then y'all get to do lunch, then playtime, then this. So it's like, then you go through that throughout the whole schooling. And if you go to college, the same thing. And even work, you go to work, oh, this time to this time, we got a meeting. This time to this time, that's when you could take your lunch break. But life is not compartmentalized. Everything is happening at the same time. While you're trying to figure out your professional goals, your love life is happening. While you're trying to figure out your love life, your family life is happening. While you're trying to figure out your family life, if you're a parent, parenting is happening. And it all requires your presence in the moment. So just being patient with yourself and knowing that you are being revealed to you. First, you're being revealed things about yourself that's probably been in the dark, your shadow self. But at the same time, you're becoming a new version of yourself. And that is not something you want to rush. That is not something you want to rush. That is a experience you want to be conscious in. That's a experience that you want to be certain in, because when you get to whatever new heights you're striving for, whether it's a new relationship, oh, I got this new job, oh, I'm even this new person, right? Like, y'all know I've been doing a lot of my inner work lately, and just I've been excited seeing myself, like, even stand up for myself. Like, I always felt like, oh, you know, I'm a Sagittarius. My other Sagittarius here, we're really fiery, and we think we're so like, oh, I don't take no mess from nobody. We give off that energy. But I realized a long time ago how much of a people pleaser I can be, right? And when I realized that and started, one, doing the work with myself, and then doing the work in my relationships to no longer show up like that, it was uncomfortable.
Is it people pleasing, or is it you just wanting to see people happy?
I used to lie and tell myself that. But the reality is, it's a fear of rejection. I think a lot of times we don't put our relationships to test to see, am I really supposed to be here? Not testing the person, but like a lot of times it's like, if I say this is my best friend, if I say this is my man, that is what it is. So we try not to do things that would challenge that. So if I always showed up this way, if I've always been the girlfriend that, like, hold it down this specific way, if I decide to shake that up, which not because of the relationship, look at when we go through life with ourselves, we're constantly shaking ourselves up, doing something new, doing something different. But I realized for me, I was always fearful to do something different in relationships out of fear of rejection. Really, like, meaning, is this person going to leave? Is this person not going to be my friend no more? And this wasn't a conscious thought. So I wasn't ever operating like, oh, I got to do this to keep them. But it's like we think that what's keeping these relationships is who we have been showing up as, right? So wanting to, I think that, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what it was for me, most of it.
So my next question was gonna be, do you feel that you've been like dishonest with what you needed in this
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. Do I feel like I've been dishonest with myself? Ooh, yes, for sure. And I think my biggest dishonesty came from really just like not wanting to feel like vulnerable and have expectations for people, right? So whenever just being dishonest with my emotions. When we talk about our emotional state, not wanting to acknowledge, hey, I feel this, I feel that. Being more on the logical side. Well, this person has this going on, so that's why they can't do this for me. That kind of mentality, right? So that's where it became dishonest, and it led to really the fear of rejection. Why should someone put my feelings first? Or why my thought process used to be, why am I thinking like this? Anytime something hurt my feelings, rather than being like, wow, that person hurt my feelings and I wish they didn't do that, I will get angry with myself. Why did I let this person make me feel this way? And why are you so emotional about this? Why this? And I don't know where that stems from, but clearly at some point in life growing up, I interpreted something as emotions as being a nag, being a something is wrong with you when you feel certain type of emotions, or when you don't, when you're sad about something or whatever the case is. So yeah, that's a big part of where the dishonesty came with myself. So the patience needed to give that version of me grace, give that version of me what I needed. Yeah, time, giving myself the version, because a big part of life is really going back to our inner child and parenting that person. Like, going back to that inner child and being like, it's okay. Going back to that inner child, like, give me a hug. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think with relationships and our relationship with time, we think we can't do that. And we try to rush past that part. And we try to judge what we discover and then be like, why wasn't you this X amount of months ago? Or why didn't you figure that out? You know what I'm saying? Just this shame. So taking your time to really just to bond with that version of you or whatever, and bond, heal, accept, and then make the conscious decision. I'm taking this step forward and understanding that it's going to be uncomfortable. That's another thing with patience. We don't like to have the patience because once as things are revealed to us, it's uncomfortable. So what happens when something's uncomfortable? I was driving an hour here. My shoe was, and all I could think is, I need to hurry up and get to the spot to fix this shoe because I'm on a highway. I'm not about to pull over. I just need to hurry up and get this because this is so uncomfortable. That is what we're doing when things are uncomfortable. I feel like I used to do this once I started being more active in the gym. I was in a gym and I would like be on this uncomfortable machine. And a part of me would be like, I want to stop. Oh God, I think I'm gonna do it halfway today. This is so uncomfortable. But then I've learned to appreciate how time feels so much slower when we are doing things uncomfortable. Because I always say it's gonna come a time where I wish I had more time. It's gonna come a time where I wish I could slow down moments. So when I'm like working through those workouts and I'm like, bro, I wanna stop right now. I'm like, appreciate this. Thank you, Tom, for going slow. Because once we hit 30, and it's weird because I don't know what has made 30 that number where motherfuckers feel like, I already got 2 more days to live. I got to get everything out the way. But like, I always try to remind myself, life is short, but life is long. Long. Life is long. We have so many seconds, minutes. Like, we're counting the seconds, the minutes, the days, and the years of life is extremely long. So being appreciative of the moments that go slow and being patient with yourself.
Yeah, I think it's definitely crazy as far as like the standards that are put on us from a young age.
Yeah.
Right. Is exactly what we follow throughout our life. So you think about 30, and I haven't done anything yet.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's scary because you thought you were going to be here at 21.
Yeah. Erasing that. That part in itself, scrubbing it and then creating. I was just telling someone, create your own timeline. Create your own timeline and include things that are important. I feel like when we create these timelines, these goals, it's always external things. It's always external things, and we don't realize internal. As our physical self is getting older and as our physical self is going through times, there's a spiritual version of us that has to come with it. You know what I'm saying? So making sure we include things like, what I'm saying, like just taking time to include the spiritual growth, the spiritual work that we have to do within ourselves and like into those timelines and those goals. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 30 and at first 30 was all about, I got to have a certain kind of job, certain kind of income, certain type of love life. I got to be married. And I'm like, I think it's so dope that at 30, I learned to stand up for myself and put my feelings first. Wow, I never put that on my to-do list. That was never on my, when I get 30, I'm going to heal that inner child and no longer be a people pleaser. That was not on it. You know what I'm saying? But what made me figure that out and get to that point was time slowing down. I moved. I was alone a lot. Pandemic. This was 2020. And this is why 2020 is like the year for everyone. Ask anybody walking around, what happened 2020? Oh, 2020 did a big one because we got to stay still and we got to let time go slow. And it revealed the things that we needed to work on that was never even on the list. But here we are at 30. We're like, I need the job. I'm just so happy at least 30. Now, with me being a mother, wow, I've learned to not people please. How can I teach that to my kid if I haven't conquered that myself? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, creating your own timeline and including every little thing, taking a break from social media and what people around you saying and starting with yourself to be like, what do I want to do by a certain age? And honestly, I always say erase the physical stuff. If you could Google it, you don't need to. If you could Google, I want to be a doctor by this year, you Googled it. You know it's 8 years of school. You know whatever you need for that. Why are you wasting your time harboring on that? Work on the spiritual part of it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that is really the second point. I have one more. I don't want to give y'all too much of a long episode, miss out on some good points. So knowing when not to rush time. That's a difference from knowing when not to waste time. When I say rush time, I'm not talking about rushing yourself. I'm talking about literally rushing time. Like we talk about time being a construct, but when we talk about time, it's not just numbers on a clock or on a calendar or on this. It's really us as human beings being able to collect experiences. That is the difference between us and other species, right? Why do you think a deer will run in the road, see his cousin Todd get hit by a car, and still run? They don't have the memory that we're able, like memory is what creates time, being able to collect experiences and bring it with us, right? So that really is to me what time is. A bunch of collected experiences or collected visions and dreams that you have for yourself when we're talking about time in the future sense, right? So you don't want to, when you are saying, I can't wait till I'm married, I can't wait till I could become a millionaire, all you're doing is rushing time because time is going to get you there. If you're not there at the very present moment, that means it can only happen in the future. Yeah. So when you're saying I want to rush time, you're saying I want to rush my life and I want to rush through moments. And the big part about that is we have to remember whatever we're trying to gain, whenever we are gaining something, it comes with the loss. Law of duality. Good doesn't exist without bad. Up doesn't exist without down. Cold does not exist without up. So we are also, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was the point I just made? Where's,
You said cold doesn't exist without up, so you might want to pick.
oh yeah, when we're cold does not exist without up. So we're losing without hot. Cold does not.
Pick up that entire point again.
Okay, so we have to remember up does not exist without down, good does not exist without bad, and cold does not exist without hot. So whenever we are gaining something, we are losing something. I think back on we was talking about my siblings earlier, and I was like, I remember being young and being like, I cannot wait till I get my own place. This girl always got my shirt on. We is fighting for the TV. When I move out, that's the sound, that's the number one phrase I'm sure everyone has said at some point. When I get my own place, I'm gonna do my place like this, da da da. And now so much of conversations I have with my siblings is talking about when we used to live together, when we were in the same roof. And the thing is, as we are gaining things, we don't grieve those old things. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's society says you're supposed to grow up, get your own place, go be with your own family. But it comes with a loss, and we're never going to experience that again. Even with you maintaining, like the example I use, I still have a very close relationship with my siblings. I would never feel what it feels like to wake up with them and we're excited to do this or telling story times or even the fights. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when we are rushing time, we are also rushing the loss that we experience with the gains that we're experiencing with the gains that we're trying to achieve or whatever like that. So keeping that in mind when you're trying to rush time. So I wanted to add this, learn to experience every phase of your life like you're trying to savor the last bite of the best meal you ever had.
Say that again.
Learn to experience every phase of your life like you're trying to savor the last bite of the best meal you ever had in your life. And that's something I actually practice when it comes to me getting anxiety. And my anxiety often comes from thinking about future things. Oh, when I'm going to do this, I am never going to have this moment again. I am never going to have this moment again. Like, I'm an adult now. Okay, I make a little bit of change. I could do what I want. I'm not under my parents' roof. But when I think about if I could go back and just experience what it feels like to be a little kid in my apartment with what the money I will spend just to go to that, especially as we get older, certain memories start to fade. Grow, all of it. all of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, really think of that. And I don't care how bad a certain moment might feel or how bad a phase of your life might feel. You would never experience that version of you again at all.
It's important to have a healthy relationship with time.
Yep. Yep.
It truly is the hottest commodity.
It.
We can't get it back.
Can you say that again?
We can't get it back.
Literally. And I feel like people always say that in the form of a cliche. Like, no, literally. It's no joke. We're not getting it back. Like, you know what I'm saying? As we get older, time is starting to phase. Like, so much of my childhood, because I grew up with my dad, all my pictures are gone. I don't have much pictures of my childhood. We lived in an apartment, so it's not like I have a childhood home to go back to visit. And I'm just like, I wish. What R. Kelly say? No shade. We still don't mess with R. Kelly, but I wish. I wish like I could go back to those moments. So one last thing I really wanted to touch on is the importance of routine, because that really is what really sparked my consciousness with time, right? This week just been one of them weeks, and nothing bad really happened, but you know, I've come to learn them weeks just come where I was just like, not just drained, but also overthinking, like just, where I want to be, what I want to do in life, all of the things, like, you know what I'm saying? And I look back and I was like, wow, even though I had one of those weeks where I just wasn't feeling it, like, I look back and I was like, I still did my daughter's hair. I still cooked a meal every single day, not just for my kid, but for me, a healthy meal. I still worked out. It was a point in time when I don't feel right. You'll be lucky if I just wake up and freaking say hello. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't do the basics, the basic gifts and opportunities we get in life. I overlook. And I was like, wow, I felt like shit this week and I still got shit done. And you know what has got me to this point? Routine. I heard this saying where they like, your feelings would trick you. And we feel like we have to feel inspired, motivated, happy to do things in life. And that is when you will learn that you will not move if you're waiting for a certain type of emotion to inflict action in you, right? So I realized, because it was a point in time where I was like, okay, I'm going to start working out, for example. It was uncomfortable, but I forced myself. I would say give yourself 7 to 21 days if you're trying to start a routine where it's going to be uncomfortable. You really ain't going to want to do it, and you're going to have to ignore your feelings and just still do it. But once it become a routine, I think what happens where time is on our side, repeating stuff. So it's like I still was able to do these things, not based on my emotional state, but because I was used to this. And I was like, I don't care what it is. It'll be a fire. I got to step on my mini stepper. That's what I work out on at least 30 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got to do this every day. And it becomes a subconscious thing that you do rather than a conscious thing. So it just helps you maintain certain things with your life, because when we are thinking about the future, when we're thinking about who we want to be in the future, we have to understand that it's only created by what we do in the present. So when you're thinking about, oh my God, I'm never going to make it, but today all you did was open your eyes and close them back. Literally, you're not going to make it. You're right. Like, you know what I'm saying? We always say don't speak bad about the future. If you want to know your future, look at today. You might not have the results that you want, but whatever you're doing today is a reflection of what your future will look like. So the fact that we let time and our unhealthy relationship with time trick us from being present to create that future self that we're trying to become is like the biggest scam we do to ourselves in life or whatever. So really creating a routine. I'm going to tell you again, 7 to 21 days. And this is not just, I use working out, but anything. Creating a habit. Like when we're talking about the emotional growth I've done, when I would get that like let's say people pleasing, right? Like, oh my God, I really just want to go out my way and do this because I feel so, even though I still feel the discomfort, I tell myself, no, but I'm going to do the opposite. And I do an action that, you know what I'm saying? That like really, I feel like manifests what that new me that I'm trying to be. I'm not going to people please. Eventually, you trick your emotions and you no longer feel that discomfort. You no longer feel that need to people please or whatever that negative quality, whatever negative quality you're trying to like free yourself of by being, by really creating a routine about who you are, like the action that you want to commit in the moment, despite what your emotions are telling you now, right? What we say, standing on business. The more you stand on business, the business will be stood on. Forget what you feel. Like, you know what I'm saying? When people talk about standing on business, they never talk about the part that how uncomfortable it feels. Ask a CEO how uncomfortable it is to do the things that they do every day. Standing on business is hard, it's uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? We make the saying sounds like, oh, it's just whatever. I stood on business. Standing on business is really just being consistent in the act of what it is that you are trying to become or be, or what type of emotional state you're trying to be, being consistent in that. And eventually you would be doing it without doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to be conscious in it. It becomes a subconscious act. Like, you know what I'm saying? Almost like how if you touch something high, naturally your hand jumps back. Now, if I feel a situation that's about to drain me and make me about to people please, I know how to make an exit left before I even have to experience some type of back and forth or uncomfortable situation with somebody. I already know. Oh, I felt that. Next. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because of the work and the consistency and me doing the things that I said I was going to do and being obedient in whatever is revealed to me through God, whatever you believe in, being obedient in that and just standing on the business. So yes, those are the 3 thoughts that I have, but I do want to do my favorite segment of the show, which is Ask Kadi. Y'all have been submitting y'all questions anonymously a lot. Nobody's been sending videos. I guess y'all don't want nobody in y'all business, but I'm going to go into the email now and read at least one of the questions I got on Ask Kadi. Okay, found it. All right, let's see what this question says. I'm trying to figure out my purpose in life. Where do I begin? Oh, I get this question a lot. The purpose. Everybody want to find their purpose. Time. That is when you, not just time as far as taking time and just allowing yourself to figure it out. Reflect. That's the luxury of time. Like I mentioned, how we can go back and collect memories. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I always tell y'all, your purpose is not a career title. It is not even a role. Like, you know what I'm saying? We had somebody say, oh, they feel like their purpose in life is to be a mother. It's not a role. It's not your purpose, right? It's a beautiful luxury, but it's not a purpose. Your purpose is something you're born with. It's something that comes second nature to you. So where you start by trying to figure out your purpose is collecting memories. It's collecting memories and it's collecting experiences, old and new. You don't know your purpose, keep living. You're going to find it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep living. I'm not saying, oh, I want to find my purpose in career. I got to go network. No. Sometimes your purpose will find you randomly in a drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts. And you don't, and the thing is, it's not that your purpose needs to find you. You just need to be conscious of it because we naturally do our purpose subconsciously every day. You know, I was like, I started my mentorship program and it wasn't an intentional thing. It was like, I remember I was like, I want to be a life coach, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I ain't gonna do this. But somebody randomly DM'd me and it was like, honey, I just feel like I should work with you on something, blah, blah. And I was like, I'll be a mentor. And the fact that my busy day, I got to work, I got a mother, I got all this stuff going on, how it's second nature for me to just be like, all right, I got to do my mentee. And not even that, even with work has been working me, all right? And I was like, I would have so much work to do and someone would slack me and be like, hey, I'm having trouble figuring out how we do this. I'm like, okay, F my work. Hop on Slack with me. Hop on Zoom. And I just want to talk to them. And I just want to help them get to point 1 to point B. We're not taught that this could be our purpose. When we think of purpose, what do you want to be? You want to be a doctor? This? I just love helping people get to from point 1 to point B through their thinking. Point A, sorry, I said point 1 to point B. Point A to point B. I want to help people get from point A to point B with their thinking. So once I realized that that is my purpose, the other thing is knowing that you have the freedom to do anything that you ever done. Like anything that you do, right? Like I've been in a space where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this job, blah, blah. But the day that I got to hop on Zoom and tutor someone or help someone figure out, or even a lot of people been reaching out like, work is stressing me out. We'll talk about it or whatever like that. I'm like, today was a good day at work. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden I don't need to change my, today was a good day. So being conscious of the fact that your purpose is something that you do every day and it's not limited to any situation. You can get up and do it every single day. And it's the thing that you would want to do for free. So that's that. I'm gonna only give y'all one today. I really, 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 really hope this episode helps someone because I know the times that we're in. I kept saying this when you hit 30, but now in this day and age of social media and constant, we're in this state of constant comparison. Time has really been trickling down all the way to kids and freaking middle school. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they are like, which is they're in their glory days and they are still in a constant worry about, oh, I got to get this next and what my prom and what my social. So I feel like on every level, everyone is struggling with their relationship and their perspective with time. So I really hope that this episode helps someone. Make sure if you made it to this point, you better, if you have not already, like, subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you download the podcast and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's how we try to creep up in the ratings and stuff like that. So please leave a review. Leave your comments on the Instagram page, Kadi, the voice of reason. I'll definitely respond. And you can go on the website, www.askkadi.com, to leave any advice or any thoughts or comments you have about this episode or that you want to talk about for future episodes.
That's my girl, Kadi C, the friend that cares more about your growth than your feelings.